Welcome back, Defenders. Today's the day. For the last 3.5 years, I've been making these update videos, and I always share with you the estimate screen put out by Ukraine's Ministry of Defense, and I've been watching this number slowly going up for 3.5 years. I was there when it hit 10,000, I was there when it hit 100,000, 500,000, and today's the day. It officially went over 1 million. This is the statement put out by President Zelensky. Today, in year 4 of Russia's full-scale war, our military has recorded over 1 million Russian casualties, killed and wounded. That's the price Putin is willing to pay for his sick geopolitical fantasies. And still, he refuses to end this war. Here's a fun fact for you. Russia controls less of Ukraine today than they did 3 years ago. Here is the war map for June 12th of 2022. And 3 years ago, the Russians controlled the city of Kherson and the north bank of the Dnieper River. They controlled this large area in Kharkiv. Yes, they controlled less of Donetsk, but their gains over the last 3 years have not offset their losses. This is the war map today. The green is what Ukraine has liberated in the last 3 years, and the Russians have taken a little bit of the Donetsk Oblast. We can go back and forth. 3 years ago, the red is what Russia controlled, and then today. Russia could have stopped this war 3 years ago, and they would be controlling more of Ukraine than they have today, and they probably could have saved 900,000 casualties. That's how absurd this war is. And Russia knows their ground game is terrible. They can't advance. They can't even take the entirety of the Donbas region, let alone the cities of Zaporizhia, Kharkiv, or Odessa. So Russia, at the moment, is going all in on their air attacks, trying to increase production of these missiles and drones so that they can bomb civilian targets, 500, 600, 700, 800, 1,000 a night. This was the air attack for the night of the 10th. Russia launched 322 missiles and drones. Ukraine successfully shot down 284, but it's getting more difficult. And Russia is adapting. After 3 years of failing to destroy Ukraine's air force or cause permanent blackouts in Ukraine's major cities, Russia is developing new tactics, and one of them is dive bombing from about 5,000 meters. They've already started doing this in Odessa, but they're now adapting this strategy across the front lines. Prior, these Shahed drones would fly low and slow to avoid active air defense, but then they were susceptible to anyone with a machine gun or usually an anti-aircraft gun mounted on the back of a truck. The German Gepards are also really good at shooting these down. So Russia is adapting by just flying higher. Yes, Ukraine can shoot them down with air defense missiles, but those are limited and those are expensive. So Russia is causing these drones to go up into the air higher than they could be shot down by an aircraft gun on the ground. They're then mass dive bombing into civilian cities in coordinated attacks. This is also what Russia is doing. Russia's new jet-powered Shahed drone hits Kyiv for the first time, 3 times faster than earlier models. Russia's Goran 3, it's a jet-powered version of the Iranian Shahed drone, reaching speeds up to 600 kilometers per hour. 600 kilometers per hour is about 400 miles per hour. And yes, if the drone is moving faster, it's going to be harder to hit from anti-aircraft guns located on the ground. It's jet-powered. And yes, it goes 3 times faster, but it has to also be more expensive. I have to believe that. What is the per unit cost? And I heard the estimates of a regular Shahed drone was about 20,000, so maybe the jet-powered version is 50, 60, or even 100,000. This is what it's now like every single night for the women and children of Ukraine's civilian cities. I want to share this video of a Ukrainian woman hearing the air sirens and running to a shelter. This is every night. The world has to do something. Here is what Yulia has to say. She is the first Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine. Russians continue to target our civilian population in massive overnight attacks. This morning in Kharkiv, two were killed, 60 injured, including 9 children, after Russia sent 17 Shahed drones into residential districts, targeting apartment buildings, playgrounds, trolley buses, and public infrastructure. In the Odessa region, drones set summer homes and boats on fire. These were peaceful civilian areas, as always, far from the front, far from any military target. There is no justification, no ambiguity. Russia is deliberately attacking civilian life. The world must respond with air defense and with sanctions. So this is President Zelensky every day. Zelensky calls on the West to slash Russian oil price cap in half as strikes on Ukraine escalate. The price cap of Russian oil should be cut from $60 a barrel to $30 in order to pressure Moscow to declare a ceasefire. The G7 price cap, almost 3 years ago, was set at $60, and at this time it can go lower. The price of oil used to be $100 a barrel, so 60 was a good number back then. But the price cap can't be lowered unless everyone agrees. And right now, the United States does not agree. The United States does not want to lower the price cap to inconvenience the Russians. And we're going to do it. Trump appears to set Putin a 2-week deadline on Ukraine. This article isn't from today, it's from May 28th, exactly 2 weeks ago. Anytime you try to ask Donald Trump, what are you going to do to end this war? You said you had a master plan to end this war in 24 hours. You then said you could do it in 100 days or by Easter. What's the plan, President Trump? And he always just says, in 2 weeks. This is the clip from 2 weeks ago in which Trump said, in 2 weeks he was going to do something.
Simply an emotional response, and do you still believe that Putin actually wants to end the war?
I can't tell you that, but I'll let you know in about 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, we're going to find out very soon. We're going to find out whether or not he's tapping us along or not, and if he is, we'll respond a little bit differently, but it'll take about a week and a half, 2 weeks. We have Mr. Witkoff is here, who's doing a phenomenal...
Are the Russians tapping along the Americans? Tapping along the Ukrainians with peace talks that they have no intention of ever engaging in seriously. Russia doesn't want to stop this war, and pretty much everyone in the world knows this except Donald Trump. So on April 27th, there's a video of Trump saying, I'll do something in 2 weeks. On May 9th, I'll do something in 2 weeks. May 28th, I'll do something in 2 weeks. If you ask him today, maybe he'll do something in 2 weeks. Trump diplomacy's new low. Rubio congratulates Russians on Russia Day. Okay, this is a statement put out by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I'm going to read it because it's stupid. On behalf of the American people, I want to congratulate the Russian people on Russia Day. The United States remains committed to supporting the Russian people as they continue to build on their aspirations for a brighter future. We also take this opportunity to reaffirm the United States' desire for constructive engagement with the Russian Federation to bring about a durable peace between Russia and Ukraine. It is our hope that peace will foster more mutually beneficial relations between our countries. Trump is a fascist, and he likes the Russians, and he wants to be friends with Putin. If Trump was president in 1942, he would be congratulating the Nazis on Nazi Day and hoping they have a bright future in their wars to conquer Europe. It's so stupid, guys. It's so embarrassing, and it just gets dumber and dumber every day. Putin's tune. US will take part in Putin's knockoff Eurovision Song Contest, competing against Iran and China. Eurovision is, a popular music competition show in Europe. But the Russians were kicked out because the Russians are committing genocide. So the Russians created their own version of Eurovision called Intervision, and they just have a bunch of authoritarian states competing. Belarus, North Korea, China, Iran, and the United States is now going to participate with them. Here is the promotion for the 2025 Intervision contest in Russia.
Live from Moscow. Intervision, International Music Contest. Top artists and chart-topping hits from different continents, all on one stage. The world-famous music event returns to Russia. Intervision, music in the heart of your country.
So I guess Trump is going to send Kid Rock to compete in the Intervision contest with Iran, China, Russia, and Belarus. U.S. to cut military aid to Ukraine, according to SecDef Pete Hegseth. This is the Secretary's proposed budget. Congress has final say, but there was about a couple $100 million allocated to Ukraine in the budget. Secretary of Defense Hegseth wants to take it out. It's not official yet, but it just shows you where this guy stands. And this is Senator Graham interviewing or grilling Secretary of Defense Hegseth before Congress. Yeah, I'll share this clip. Senator Lindsey Graham, he's trying.
Is Putin going to stop in Ukraine?
I don't believe he is, sir. I think he'll go until...
What do you think, Secretary? Is he going to stop?
Remains to be seen, Senator.
Well, he says he's not. This is the 30th all over. It doesn't remain to be seen. He tells everybody around what he wants to do. Are you familiar with his military buildup in terms of armaments? It's well beyond what we need to do to take Ukraine. Listen, I like what you're doing. I just think we got to get this stuff right.
This is the 1930s all over again. That is what Senator Graham is telling the Secretary of Defense, who is an idiot, but we did get Hegseth to say that Putin is the aggressor, as senators chide him over Ukraine. This is Mitch McConnell, and you'll see he's wearing his blue and yellow tie to support Ukraine. This is Mitch McConnell once again also asking the question, who do you want to win this war? Who does Donald Trump want to win this war?
Number one, who's the aggressor and who's the victim in the conflict?
Russia's the aggressor.
Which side do you want to win?
As we've said time and time again, this president is committed to peace in that conflict. Ultimately, peace serves our national interests, and we think the interest of both parties, even if that outcome will not be preferable to many in this room and many in our country.
The outcome might not be preferable to people in this room, meaning Trump doesn't care if Ukraine is annihilated. Trump doesn't care if every Ukrainian in the country is murdered by the Russians. He doesn't want to do anything to stop a genocide, to stop the largest land war in Europe since World War II. Hegseth confirms the United States diverted Ukraine's anti-drone systems to the Middle East. Okay, this is where today's video gets insane, but there might be another war in the Middle East starting this weekend. Hegseth said these anti-drone missiles that were supposed to go to Ukraine were sent to the Middle East because there's urgent need. Why is there urgent need? U.S. begins evacuating their Middle East embassies and army bases as Iran nuclear talks come to a head. The United States at the moment is evacuating non-essential personnel from embassies and military bases across the Middle East. These are the embassies in Iraq, Kuwait, and Bahrain. And the reason why is, according to the Washington Post, U.S. intelligence officials are growing concerned that Israel is going to choose to strike Iran's nuclear facilities without the consent of the United States. In some way, Donald Trump and the United States is holding Israel back. Israel doesn't believe that negotiations with Iran is going to accomplish anything. Iran is still progressing towards obtaining nuclear weapons, and Israel might just go alone. Israel this weekend might choose to start bombing nuclear facilities, but also just valuable military assets in Iran. So what is the United States going to do? And they're probably going to end up supporting Israel, or at least defending Israel when the retaliatory strikes begin. Iran plans to respond to any potential Israeli strikes with immediate salvos of hundreds of ballistic missiles targeting Israeli cities, Israel proper. These are the different kinds of ballistic missiles that Iran possesses and the range in which they can strike. You can see we've got 6, 7, and 8. These 3 types of missiles can hit Israel, but all of Iran's short ballistic missiles can hit our embassies or our military bases across the Middle East. This is what might be happening this weekend. There's something called the Pentagon Pizza Index, and it's spiking. There are local pizza shops near the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and if you go on the pizza's websites, you can see there's a spike in pizzas being ordered from these restaurants at certain times. When this happens, it means that defense planners at the Pentagon are working late. Normally, they would go home and eat dinner, but there are thousands of people choosing to stay at the Pentagon late for some reason, and they always order pizza from the local pizza shops. So this is a open source kind of indicator that something weird is going on. There is a lot of rumbling in the intelligence community. There might be action taken this weekend. And this kind of explains this as well, because this was very curious. OPEC Plus members could hike July oil production by 411,000 barrels per day. This is Saudi Arabia. Why, for the last 2 or 3 months, has Saudi Arabia been choosing to increase production when prices are going down? Normally, when oil prices are going down, you want to decrease production because you're not making as much. But if Saudi Arabia had the intelligence, if the Saudis were talking to the Israelis that strikes on Iran could be coming soon, and potentially Iran's producing capacity could go offline, well, then there's going to be a spike in the price of oil. And sure enough, there it is. The price of oil a week ago was $65 a barrel, and it's up to $69. It's basically a 10% jump in a week because people are talking. Is Israel this weekend going to take action and bring down the entire Iranian regime? There's already massive protests and civil unrest in Iran. The people of Iran, I don't think overwhelmingly they support the current regime anymore. How does this affect Russia and Ukraine? And I'm not the biggest fan of Iran, but I am shocked that the United States is getting involved in another war in the Middle East. Like, Donald Trump ran on the platform of no more wars. We're going to get out of these parts of the world. Nobody knows. Honestly, there's no plan. Nobody in positions of power across the globe have actual plans anymore. They're all just winging it. In general, because Iran is Russia's military ally, this is good for Ukraine. If Russia's... I mean, I'm reacting to this live on camera, and I don't have complete thoughts here. What do you say to this? If Israel does go it alone? And I think Israel is seizing this opportunity now because Donald Trump might politically become weaker in the future. If Israel chose to wait another 2 years or 4 years, Trump's power base might be weakened. Republicans who support Israel might not have a majority. I think Benjamin Netanyahu is doing the calculations, and he's willing to roll the dice today because of the political situation and unrest in the United States, in addition to Russia distracting the Europeans with the war in Ukraine. And then we've got China potentially moving on Taiwan. This really is World War III, guys. Everybody is using the chaos and instability as an opportunity to strike at each other. And this has the serious potential of spiraling out of control globally with nuclear weapons, in which hundreds of millions could die. Here in the United States, we're planning another massive protest against Donald Trump. This is on June 14th, this Saturday. Trump is holding a military parade for himself for his birthday in the nation's capital. So people opposing Trump and his fascist agenda. This will be 1,800 cities participating. It's going to be well over a million Americans choosing to protest. If you're American and you can make one of these protests, the website where you can find your local event is 5051. You can click on this button, find an event. If your city doesn't have one on this website, there might be a different organization planning something, and you can just Google your city name, June 14th protest, and you can get the time and location to show up. If you can come out, bring a sign, dress up, bring your friends, have some fun, film videos, take pictures, post them on social media. That's the only way we're going to actually shift the debate here in the United States. Let's get back to the bad news for Russia. Ukraine confirms striking Russian gunpowder plants, an ammo depot, and airfield in a bold drone raid. Ukraine's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Every night, Ukraine also launches drones into Russia, but they only go after valid military targets. So you don't really see the pictures and videos going viral online. But this is what needs to happen to stop Russia's defense military production of these drones, of these missiles. You have to go after the supply chain. You have to go after anything having to do with these factories producing these weapons. The problem is, not all the factories are in Russia. This is a video I want to share with you of a Chinese company producing fiber optic coils for Russian FPV drones. This is the Chinese company PGI Technology, and at the moment they're operating 18 machines that run 14 hours a day, winding 500 meters of fiber optic cable per minute. That's roughly 515 kilometer coils per production shift. This is what the video looks like of this factory in China producing FPV coils for the Russian military. China's a problem. We have a problem. But so does Russia. Russia's budget deficit up fivefold over 2024, according to their own finance ministry. Russia's deficits rose by $2.18 billion in May, bringing the total for the first 5 months of the year to $44.2 billion, or about 1.5% of their GDP. That is nearly 5 times higher than the same period a year ago. So at this point, June of last year, Russia, their budget deficit was single digits. It was probably about $8 billion. But already for this year, it's 44. And this has already exceeded what they planned for this year. Revenue is falling, inflation is terrible, interest rates are still high. We've been saying this for 3 years, but yes, Russia's economy is struggling. All of the indications are there. All of the metrics that we're following continue to get worse every single day. This is what we're fighting for. Russia will be stopped when their economy is stopped. Here's another video I want to share with you. There's a giant POW exchange going on between Ukraine and Russia right now. And I'm showing you these videos of Ukrainian POWs coming home. Their families are excited. They're being handed flags. They're being welcomed home as heroes. But on the Russian side, that doesn't happen. This is a Russian POW that was just exchanged, and he's given the phone to call his mother. This is some kind of volunteer that wanted to film this happy moment, this happy reunion between a mother and her son. And on the phone, the mom is upset that he was exchanged. The mom wanted him to stay in captivity until the war was over.
Если честно, я не хотела, чтобы тебя обменивали.
Так ты послушай, мама, что ты ржешь?
Ты сейчас до дома не доедешь. Тебя куда-нибудь на границе с Белоруссией, блин, отправят, типа помощь окажут, психологическую и так далее, и обратно туда.
Так это понятно.
А чё понятно, сидел бы там, чё ты, небось...
Блин, вот мне там делать нечего, а?
Да сидел бы там.
Не хочу.
Чё идти туда людей убивать? Вот ты мне скажи, вот что вы...
Давай мы потом вот с тобой на эту тему поговорим, хорошо? Давай не на камеру.
Потом.
Давай не на камеру.
Давай, пока.
Давай, перезвоню потом.
Russian prisoners of war who do not want to be exchanged, they're not exchanged. Ukraine is willing to hold on to these Russian men if they fear being returned to Russia. And the reason why is because Russian POWs are immediately sent back to the front lines. They're viewed and treated like traitors to the motherland for surrendering alive in the first place. So this Russian mother is smart enough to know that her son is probably going to die now because he was willing to be exchanged and sent back to Russia. Let's get to the good news for Ukraine. The Serbian leader is in Ukraine for the first time since Russia's full-scale invasion. This is the Serbian president, Aleksandar Vučić, and he chose to go to Ukraine to meet with President Zelensky. Serbia traditionally has been Russia's military ally going back to before World War I. But Serbia has been helping Ukraine. Serbia has been willing to sell their weapons and ammunition stockpiles to third-party countries, such as the Czech Republic. These weapons have then been donated to Ukraine. Serbia knows this. Vučić offers to help rebuild Ukrainian cities, reaffirms support for Ukraine's territorial integrity. Yeah, Russia doesn't like this, but Serbia is a landlocked country surrounded by the European Union and NATO. They've got Hungary to the north, Romania and Bulgaria to the east, Greece to the south. Serbia is never going to be Russia's ally again in some great war. They know that. And check out this picture. This is the leaders of Ukraine, Moldova, and Romania meeting together. All three of these people democratically elected, free of Russian corruption and influence. These three countries working together to stop Russian influence in their countries. This is a big deal, and this is Russia's worst nightmare. They are losing all their influence over the Balkans and, of course, Eastern Europe. Germany pledges new $2.2 billion military aid package to Ukraine. Thank you so much to the Germans, and once again, Germany is no longer publicly announcing specifically what they're sending, just the size of the packages. Ukraine to get a $2.2 billion boost from the United Kingdom. They're going to purchase arms for Ukraine. Thank you so much to the Brits. Norway transfers over twice the number of F-16s promised to Ukraine. Norway said they were going to send 8, and they ended up sending 16. Thank you so much to the fantastic Norwegians. Final clip I want to share with you is from friend of the channel, Kaylin Robertson, sharing with you a moment from Odessa on the beach.
So I'm on a beach right now in southern Ukraine in Odessa, and there's a full moon just over the sea. And everyone is holding hands and just celebrating the sunset and celebrating life. And I've recently had so many messages from Ukrainians saying that they love when I post Instagram stories of life in Ukraine still, and that it reminds them of home, and that all they want is to return back home. And for the tiny 2 years that I've spent in this country, I can't believe how beautiful this place is. So many beautiful cities. I've been to the Carpathian Mountains, and everywhere you look, there's beauty. And Ukrainians have this strange ability to turn the seaside just into magic. There's piano being played every single night all across this beachfront, and it's just amazing. All they want is just to come home, and that's it. They never hurt anybody. They never invaded any other country. They never did anything to their neighbors. They just want to come home, and they can't because their neighbors are insane. And that's the most devastating part, is people that just want to come home.
Continue supporting Ukraine. Russia will be defeated. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.